Hello, everyone. It's me, Laser, and I am coming to you live from a cabin in the woods, where I am on a bit of a retreat, writing retreat, finish some songs. But I wanted to keep these fun coffee and crowdfunding adventures, so I am here. So let me know if you can see me and you can hear me, and how the volume and visual is, so that I know. I I'm gonna get a few warnings. I think that my internet connection is unstable. That's unfortunate, but yeah, just press play. Um, so if you can see, then everything is going right. And this is how this works. I'm going to give a little bit of a presentation. And after that, I am going to take questions from the chat. Yeah, and some questions from folks who are in. Any questions? Okay, this may be working again, I hope. And I'm going to go on the assumption that it is. Looks like I'm live from my end. Oh, sorry about that, folks. This may be a more stable connection, and if not, such is life. Like I said, I'm in the middle of the woods doing some work. But yes, so the first thing that we do on this amazing coffee and crowdfunding, if you've not come before, is that I'm going to put up this screen, and I ask you to tell me through by the numbers where you are on this project lifeline. So, can you indicate to me, just by dropping a number in the chat, where you are on this project lifeline, and also, can you see me again? I hope. My computer is not being completely clear about it. I think so. Okay. Where are you on this project lifeline 1 through 7? So if you can... Yeah. Okay. It looks like I'm back. Okay. So, are you deciding who you are as an artist and your goals for the year? Are you deciding on your next project? Becoming discovery ready? Growing your audience through collaboration? Planning the logistics of your campaign? Planning the promotion of your campaign? Launching your crowdfunding campaign? Creating and releasing your project? I think I know the answer for a couple of you, so that's exciting. I'm gonna refresh this page. Is that a huge mistake? I'm doing it. Do. May have been a mistake. And let me tell you what I'm talking about today. The thing that I'm talking about today primarily is going to be rewards. So if you haven't gotten a chance to tell me where you are in this project, that's okay. And let me show you my presentation for the day. I'll also record it to this computer just in case it doesn't work live streaming. Okay, so the presentation for today is going to be about rewards. So what makes a good reward? What should you be doing when you are building a reward? And all that kind of stuff. Awesome. Hello, welcome. Everybody's here. Yay. Okay. So let's just jump into my little rewards presentation. And while I'm doing this, please feel free to drop questions about absolutely anything in the chat. So first of all, when you are thinking about building your rewards, one of the big questions that people often forget to ask themselves is, why do people back Kickstarter projects or Indiegogo projects or anything? According to backers that I've pulled, the answers are this. First of all, to support the goal of creation. So that is the number one thing. Number two, to support the creator that they already like. And then number three, to get a thing that they like. And it's really is in this order. So you should people are really more concerned about creating the ultimate goal of the project and the creator than they are about actually getting a cool thing. Keep that in mind. And then here's a little bit of extra interesting information. The average backer of a music or art project is going to give $40. And that means that about half of your people are going to give at like the $10 to $15 level, and about half of the people are going to give above that level. So keep that in mind when you're building your rewards. Your rewards. How should you brainstorm? So let's talk through all this. Look at other projects, sit down, and brainstorm. First of all, remember your mission statement. If you've been with me for a while, maybe you haven't, you'll know that I am very, very into having a mission statement for your project. So that means I want you to know why you're doing what you're doing, know the purpose of your art, and know the purpose of your project as well for you and your career. So when you're thinking about those things, that will probably lead you to some interesting reward ideas. Like if your mission statement is, I want to spread the good word about marimba, then you want to have marimba related rewards, a shirt that has marimba on it, a pin that has marimba on it, whatever that is. And then here are some other reward ideas. First of all, digital. Have as many as possible of your rewards be purely digital, because shipping fulfillment is just a huge hassle. So in addition to the project as just the digital thing, whatever that is, the film, the album, the book, here are some other ideas for digital rewards. A digital back catalog of everything you've released before is a great digital reward, because you can make a lot of just pure profit that way, and people can get caught up on your catalog of creations. A digital shout out to people, so maybe you record kind of like a cameo of like, hey John, what's up? I'm so excited about you, and I really thank you for backing the project. And then digital custom things. If people want to request something. And you should be building that based on your own mission statement and unique talents. And then, of course, the other category is merch. So that's pins, shirts, mugs, posters, kazoos, whatever cool merch it is that you want to make. But of course, this should also really be coming from who you are as an artist, and not just whatever random merch you can think of. And then custom and awesome things. So these are things like hang out with me, play a game with me, come to a concert, hang out, lessons of whatever it is you teach. You can give people a special credit, like a producer credit. And the more unique these things are, the better. So again, thinking about who you are as an artist, what you can offer that has never been offered before, because there have been a million Kickstarters, and they've all gotten they've done every possible custom reward. But if you really want to get people excited, try to think of something that is very uniquely you as an artist. Does that make sense, everybody? Give me a yes if you can see and hear me still, even though I might be chopping up a little bit here in the forest. All right, now this is a very important next step that a lot of people miss in the reward process, which is narrowing it down. Narrow down all your ideas, whittle it down to a few vital and interesting rewards. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And one really good way to do this is to create reward levels. I'm going to get to the questions in the chat absolutely at the end of this, just so you know. Do not miss so create reward levels at price point, and think about individual backers as opposed to just thinking like, I have all of these ideas and just throwing them all together on a big canvas. So one of the things that I recommend doing is imagining a person, imagining your $10 person, imagining your like $30 person, imagining your $50, $80, $150, $300 person. And you should, at this point before crowdfunding, know those people. Your audience should be humans to you. And if they aren't humans to you, don't crowdfund quite yet. The audience should, well, you should care about them as if they are people. You should know their names. You should be excited about them as people, and not just think about them as customers, right? Or not just think about them as listeners or fans, but they should be humans that you're excited about. And then you should build reward packages that are exciting, that you think might be exciting to these like individual people that you can imagine. Now, they may not actually end up buying those particular things that you're thinking about, but this way you can kind of think about the personality of your backers, the personality of your audience, which is really fun. Another way to think about building rewards that's easy and simple is think about each level as the previous level plus one thing. So like if your first level is digital album, the next level might be digital album plus enamel pen. And then the level after that might be digital album plus enamel pen plus CD. They don't always have to be like that, but it does make it a lot easier for people to read the page. And the easier it is for people to read the page, the more likely they are to just go ahead and back it, as opposed to think, okay, this is overwhelming, I need to come back later. And then they never come back. So simple is good. Another way to narrow down your ideas to the very best ones is to think about which rewards have a good profit margin. For example, an enamel pen's profit margin, like you can sell for maybe $10, $15, or $20. It's going to be a lot better than like a mug, which you can sell for the same price but costs like 3 times as much. So again, just think about what has a good profit margin. What are things valued as? And then when you're thinking about those custom rewards that you're doing, something like I'll write you an individual song, I'll animate you into my film, remember that those things are all going to take time. And schedule that time now. Like look at your calendar, look out 6, 9, 12 months and think, do I actually have time to fulfill all these custom rewards? Because those custom rewards are honestly not, they kind of take a lot more time than you think they are. Simplify, simplify, simplify. So that is my main point here. All right, here we go. Next, all right, how to source rewards. This is something that I find a lot of people losing a lot of money because they just kind of go with the first thing they think of when they're going to source rewards. They think, okay, I'll just Google it, or I'll go with whatever has worked before. But I definitely recommend trying to find a really good, cheap, and high quality place to source your awards. If people are used to getting really nice merch from you, really nice, high quality things, then they're gonna want to buy your stuff again. My favorite band makes really terrible quality t-shirts, and I don't buy shirts from them. If they make great quality t-shirts, I would be completely outfitted in their merchandise. They would be making hundreds of dollars on me. So I think that's a good lesson. And let's make sure that the stuff you make is like, make a comfortable t-shirt that's soft. I'm wearing one of my own t-shirts right now just because they're soft and comfortable. Make a pin that you know is going to be pretty, that kind of thing. Ask friends where they source their merchandise. This is a good reason to have a good network of artists. And you can ask me, for example. I'll tell you right now. I get my enamel pins from Wizard Pins. I print my t-shirts like this one at Phantom Chicken Screen Printing, because I think that it's worth it to have like a really nice quality screen print as opposed to something that's just like digitally basically ironed on. They'll do an amazing job, and it's so much cheaper than anything printed on demand through them. And then I get all my buttons and stickers from Busy Beaver Buttons. all of these, no, Wizard Prince in China, but Phantom Chicken and Busy Beaver are all USA. And then find an amazing artist for all of your merch. So many people just go with like their cousin that they know, or they'll try to make an art design themselves, or just use whatever they have. You need to have anything that you create, your art on your cover of your book, or your art on your cover of your album, your shirts, your enamel pens. They need to be amazing. They need to be so good that people will wear them and get compliments even if people don't know what the art is about, right? So do the work on its of art direction. Make something that people can be really proud and excited to wear, or to boast, or to put up on their wall, right? Like really, really do it. And a really good way to find artists, if you don't already know artists, is to go on Twitter and look at these two hashtags, hashtag drawing while black and hashtag visible women. These are two hashtags where people share their actual art, so you can see all kinds of different styles of art, and you can find just exactly the one that you're looking for. Those people will tell you if they're available for commissions, and they will. That I hire artists this way literally all the time, because it's just a really, really easy way to find folks, and bonus being that it's often folks that are underrepresented in art, which is you're doing a good thing there, which is cool. Alrighty. All right. How to price your rewards. Do not do this wrong. Do not lose your money. So here are just a few things to think about. First of all, the item price. Second of all, the amount of time it's going to take you to create, to do a custom reward, whatever. Look at other projects to see how much people are selling things for. People aren't selling CDs for $40, but they might be selling them for $25, or whatever works. And then don't forget the platform fees. People are used to paying an extra 10% for something when it's on Kickstarter, because they know Kickstarter takes 8%. So there you go. And then remember all of these things. You have to ship them to your audience. The shipping, the printer or whatever has to ship things to you, so don't forget that. You have to pay your artist and designer. That's part of the merchandise cost. Shipping rates may and probably will increase. And don't forget, when you're calculating your shipping costs, to pay for shipping supplies and labels and ink for your printer. All of that cost can be rolled into the price of your reward. All right, that is my quick rewards presentation. Now I'm going to go ahead and hop into the chat and look at some questions that you have asked. All right, there's a lot of discussion about an event that's happening tomorrow that has nothing to do with this. Stop that. Then there is a question. Okay, from Maria. Maria Victoria, should I make my goal small and then later do a second crowdfunding? Maria, this is super depending on your specific project. So, I'm gonna actually hop into your specific project. If you could check your email, I sent you an email about your project. Let's talk a little bit about goals. When you launch a project, you want your goal to be enough that you can fulfill the rewards on that project. You can make the thing that you're telling people that you're going to make. So you never want to be like, well, I think I can make $1,000, so I'm just going to ask for $1,000, even though I may not be able to make the thing that I want to make, because I think if I ask for $1,000, I get it. No, I mean, you should always ask for enough money to make the thing you're going to make. However, it is true that you are that it is that the less money you ask for, the sooner that you'll make it, and you will get more momentum that way. So one thing that I do recommend is trying to pare down the project. So if there's a way to if there are many aspects to the project, if for example you can add on a higher level of mastering or add on like, you know, festival submissions as stretch goals or something like that, as you build momentum. That would be a good thing to have as not your core goal, but as later goals. I tend to want to do it all at as one project as opposed to multiple projects. And unless there is some reason that you think you're going to have a bigger audience later, like for example, this first project is going to give you the opportunity to make the film, and then later you will have once you have made the film, you can use it to build an audience, and then with that bigger audience, you can get funds to submit it to festivals or something like that. If that is not the case, I would say, yeah, just do all the work before launching the first project and building up your audience and engaging the audience and such, so that you can launch the project. Okay. Boop-a-doo-boo. Again, Maria, I did send you an email with a few more questions, but I'm going to go ahead and go through the first one you sent me, which was, I'm planning to launch a campaign to fund my next short film, but my community is very small. How can I connect with my small communities in a way that would help me in the campaign? And I love this question. Cool. So the in order to connect with your small communities, well, one of the things that I recommend, which you have already done, is launching is to not have your first project be a huge project. And it looks like you have done that in the past. You had an Indiegogo that raised about $3,000, or 2 different Indiegogos for your first small project, which is awesome. Like if your goal is to like start launching a studio, which it looks like it is for short films, start small. You know, your first thing doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. It just has to be a small thing that you can make. And that's awesome. The next thing I would recommend is figure out ways that what you can contribute to the community of your potential audience. So first of all, what is your potential audience? How do you grow that potential audience? Like your small community. Is it people who like animation? Is it people who want to support artists in Venezuela? Is it people who want to who are interested in learning animation, and they would want to support animation because they want to learn more about it? Who are the potential people who might want to be supporting your project? And how can you provide stuff for them? So like if your potential backers, are you thinking are folks who might want to who are interested in your community, then maybe you start sharing on social media information about your community. Like, this is what's going on in my world. If it's people who are interested in animation, then maybe you start or continue. I know you do a little bit of this, like doing like really, really short informational videos about animation. Like, here is how to create a walking sequence, or here is how I use music and animation together. And just doing like short, 15-second Instagram videos to provide value to your potential future backers is a really good way to build a backing community. So this is less talking about your future film and more providing value to potential backers. And this is a long-term, I would say a few months work before you launch the project, because you do want to work on genuinely building up this steam, and not just in a transactional way, but in a genuine way, building a community that's excited about animation and excited about your film. But I would say it's worth it because you want to have your crowdfunding project backed by a community. Let me, and then in terms of when you have the community all set, or when in terms of when you are communicating with the community that you already have, the there are a few things. First of all, you should definitely start a mailing list. So that's like an email list for everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and share a different screen. So you should have a mailing list for people who are interested in your kind of projects, and you can go ahead and start that mailing list based on people who backed your first couple projects. So you have 53 here and 22 here. You probably have more. You might have more people like from your school, from your community. Start a mailing list on a service like MailChimp or TinyLetter or whatever, because a mailing list is a really good way to engage a community. You can email them, tell them what's the latest with the film. You can email them, tell them what your goals are, keep them updated on your former film, and like tell them the story of everything that happened with it, even if it happened a while ago. So I would just engage that community, tell them your story from beginning to end. And then the other thing I would recommend is oh yeah, the other thing I was going to do was answer your previous question. Okay, so we can make a short film with $10,000. We are building a studio and want the short film in order to sell an animated series. Oh, that's cool. In the future. Awesome. So yes, it is in YouTube. Yes, you have showed me all the things, which is awesome. So yes, I would definitely work on, here's just a bunch of random advice for you. First of all, these campaigns are great. I love the art you have. I notice you are on Indiegogo. That is fine. I would say you're probably going to make more money if you go to Kickstarter or you go to Seed and Spark. I don't know that you can. You probably didn't because you're in a different country. But I would check out. Okay, yes, I get it. If you can, Seed and Spark, which is a film-specific fundraising service, and they would probably be really excited to talk to you about what you're doing. They're going to require that you have a mailing list before you start working with them. And they're going to require that basically you launch a project that's going to succeed. But they have really great resources for filmmakers. And I think that they're probably going to be better for you than Indiegogo. So I would check out Seed and Spark. The other thing that's just, okay, so by the way, this is a mailing list joining thing. That's what I wanted to show you. Give something away for free, maybe like a free animation clip or something. I don't know what that would be for you, but you're creative. You sent me 3 different Instagrams. So this is your new studio, which is awesome, which has some like cool stuff about animation. You sent me your former film, which is also awesome. And you sent me your personal Instagram. It's totally fine to have 3 different Instagrams for your 3 different aspects of your project. I would say don't when you're promoting stuff, use this one because it has more followers. You can use all of them if you want, but remember that this is like this is the one with the most followers, so don't be afraid to use it. Also, one thing I noticed is that your crowdfunding page is in English, and these aren't. I don't have any problem with that. But I do wonder if that means that you have two different audiences, or like if your audience for crowdfunding is people who speak English, then it might be good to have a option for them. Like you might want to have your social media be bilingual, because so that folks like me can look at this page and understand it, which is like, I understand complete. Like, I'm not saying you have to put anything in English, and you absolutely don't have to put anything in English if you don't want to. But if your goal is to access people who speak exclusively English, then you want to communicate with those people, not just when you're asking for money, but also when you are providing value and promoting your project on social media. Does that make sense? So yeah, I think you're doing great. I don't think you should ask for $10,000 right now, because you aren't quite to the point where you have enough followers. However, I mean, if you're trying to get $10,000, let's do some quick back of the napkin math, and your average backer is 40. You would want to get 250 backers, so you'd probably want to get Yeah, I mean, I would try to like at least double your audience before you try to ask, and probably a lot more. I would try to get an email list of like 1,000 people before launching, and an audience on social media of like 5,000 or 2,000, 3,000 to 5,000, depending on how engaged they are. So I mean, those are like super, 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 super um, rough numbers. But yeah, anyway, figure out where your audience is, figure out who you want them to be, and engage them. You're doing a great job. I mean, you could also launch the project on Kickstarter if you're able to. I don't know if you can from Venezuela. I have a strong preference for not using Indiegogo just because it doesn't have the at least in the US, the reputation that Kickstarter has, and Kickstarter has this kind of immediacy of like, we need to back this project in order to fund it, which is great. But they're all awesome. Crowdfunding is great no matter what you do. Yeah, launching next year, super good. Yeah, just in the meantime, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. You seem to be posting really good content, but if you want to branch out, maybe try to make some waves on Facebook. Might be a good place to be building your audience. Make a mailing list. If you have other creatives on your team who can be also working on it, that kind of thing. Okay, so going to another question. Bethan, I am unsure about my rewards. I am still waiting to hear about superfans about t-shirts, as a few have said they don't wear them. Should I just go ahead anyway? Cool. I mean, it depends. We make t-shirts still. My band. We tend to make them at a higher level because I do think our audience isn't super t-shirt people, but some of them are. Your music is like ethereal harp music, which I wouldn't super associate with t-shirts, but I don't know how old your audience is. Like, do you picture them wearing t-shirts? Do you wear t-shirts? Those are all things to think about. It's okay if people don't wear t-shirts. One option that we do when we print shirts is that we have the same shirt design available because I use a screen printer. You can either choose a shirt or a tote bag. So I would show you, but my internet is not good enough. But basically, when you order the shirt level of a Kickstarter campaign, you can get you get this cool design on a shirt of any size, from ladies small, which is basically this big, to unisex 4XL, or on a tote, like a really nice high quality tote bag. And that way, for people who don't wear shirts, that's an option. But I have to say, honestly, I've been really hopping off the t-shirt game and going to enamel pins because they fit everybody. Enamel pins are so nice. Those are just those like nice little kind of like a lapel pin, basically, that has a nice design. And people have been enjoying that. It really did. I mean, all of this is based on you knowing your audience, right? So I can't give you the answer to that because you need to know your audience. You need to like know them as people, and know what they're gonna want. So I would say like I wouldn't have a t-shirt as like the primary item in like more than half of your rewards, or as an item in more than half of your rewards. I would have it at like maybe like the $60 or $70 up. Like I wouldn't have it as like the third thing that you add to your packages, but it's an option. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, the concept of talking to your audience about what they want is very important. And we used to do it a lot. I mean, I think there's a mix of you should talk to your audience about what they want, and then you should know your audience well enough to kind of anticipate what they want. And then you should know your audience well enough to like know when to listen to them, because sometimes they don't know. Now, that's easy for me to say because I've been running my band for 10 years and we have done like 7 Kickstarters. But this is your first Kickstarter campaign, so you're going to learn a lot of lessons. I guess simplifying is probably the solution that is least risky at this point. I would say finding a couple like really trusted super fans and being like, which of these things is most exciting to you? I really am excited about this pendant and this t-shirt. And just like have a really personal one-on-one connection. Like, hey, I'm so jazzed. I get to finally launch my Kickstarter. I'm going to make my album. It's going to be amazing. I get to make cool merch, which is awesome. But I don't know which one is the coolest. So which of these 3 things is coolest to you? Like this t-shirt, this on a tote bag, or this as a pendant? And if they don't like any of them, they sound like kind of a bummer to me and not really like a fan. Or they might say like, well, I want a harp pin or whatever. Yeah, it's about you have to balance it. Yeah. So yeah, you can, what we usually say is like that bullet point is t-shirt or tote bag, as opposed to just t-shirt. What kind of vintage style things, Fiona? Like clothes, art, posters? It's a big question. All right, Fishman asks, what platform is better for an alternative art project, Velvet Underground Warhol project? I think you mean crowdfunding platform. I would say Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter is probably the best platform currently for music. Oh yeah, if you want me to go over your specific project, I know you sent me an email. I'm happy to do that. I am happy to do that. Oh, and Bethan sent me questions too. Okay, so this is Steve's questions, who emailed me. Steve is launching this Velvet Underground Warhol Factory project. Let me see. Target audience. Velvet Underground, Lou Reed, Bowie, awesome. Okay. monetary goal, 5 to 20,000. Production. What are you making? You're making an album, or you're making a stage show? I know what the Exploding Plastic Inevitable was. What are you trying to fund? Community exposure. Okay, so I would say my main advice to you, Fishman, Steve, is before you launch your project, even though that you, so what you have going for you is that you are launching a project that is based on a property that a lot of people know and are excited about, or you're launching a project that is that. But what you don't have is a core audience who know and trust you that you can contact right now. So what you need to do before you launch is to build that core audience that know and trust you. There's a few ways to do that. The most like easy way is just to like tell people you're going to do something and then do it. So like making a mailing list and say, every week I'm going to send you a story from the road, and then, or make a Facebook page and say like, I'll be playing you a song every Sunday. Or I'll be telling you an EPI story every Sunday. Whatever it is that you want to do, kind of build your reputation as someone people can trust. Because there have been a lot of projects that are like, this is exactly this thing you love. I'm going to launch it and I'm going to take all your money. And then they don't actually fulfill. So people don't necessarily trust projects that just say they're going to be awesome if they don't know the person. If they haven't worked with the person who is launching it, if that person doesn't have your reputation of launching Kickstarter projects or doing like indie fulfillment on stuff. So I would say do some work to build up your reputation, and then build up that audience, that email list. If you want to make $5,000, if that's your base goal, then you should have an email list that's maybe 7,000 people before you launch. That's a really rough number. But work on that. And since you have this great, like, it's going to be a lot easier to get people to join a mailing list than it is to get people to back a Kickstarter project. So use this as kind of a test run for the Kickstarter. So like, hey, do you like the return of the Exploding Plastic Inevitable is coming. Are you interested? Join this email list and get updates, get a free MP3, whatever. And if people are willing to join that for free, then chances are like 10 to 25% of them will actually be willing to give you money. Now, of course, if this is a stage show, you're going to be limited by people who are in the physical location of wherever the stage show is, which is why kickstarting physical concerts and tours is a really, really tricky thing to do, because you're super limited by where people are. But that's a thing you can get through. So that's I think the main challenge I see for you is doing some work on building the audience, and making sure that when you launch the project, that you can fulfill all the rewards with the goal you're asking for. So if you're asking for $5,000, make sure that you can give people everything they've paid for. Make sure you don't need $20,000 to make the concert if you're selling tickets to the concert and you only make $5,000. Yeah. If you really hop into this and do a lot of work, you might be able to do this in the next probably wait until next year to kickstart it, just because I think you have a couple months of work building the audience, and then we're about to get into November, which is the election, and December, which is Christmas, and those are kind of hard months to run Kickstarters. But you might be able to do it depending on how engaged you get this audience. So I you know your audience better than me, so give it a shot. Jewelry art. Okay, could you recommend someone who makes good quality vintage style things, jewelry art, and possibly clothes? There are people who make good jewelry. I would go, Fiona. I would go to the Kickstarter for Juliana Finch. Kickstarter for I feel like maybe yeah, there are a few different people who make like custom jewelry that people have sold as merch. But I don't know them off the top of my head. I wouldn't be able to answer that question super well. It's a good question though. But then yeah, I would definitely look at the hashtags that I shared before, because there will be definitely good vintage style like poster stuff in those hashtags on Twitter. Okay. And then the other question was, do you ever use fulfillment merch services? I have, not on my own personal projects, but on projects for other folks, had people mail out my merch for me. There are a few services that do that specifically for Kickstarter. Yeah, Fiona, I broke up, but I also put it in the chat. Kickstarter for Juliana Finch, and then check out the hashtags on that I mentioned earlier. The slides, by the way, for this are all going to be in the YouTube description. So if you click on this video, it'll take you to YouTube, and the slides will be in the Dropbox there. Fiona, if I think of anything else, go ahead and drop me an email, and I'll let you know if I think of anything else. Yeah, there are various fulfillment services. Just ask somebody who's used them before you use them. Once the crowdfunding campaign is up and running, how much work is involved? My father-in-law has an 80th birthday and family planning weekend away. A lot of work is involved, but you can take a weekend away, Bethan. Yeah, you can definitely take a weekend away. But yeah, I mean, I need you to not completely disappear. You'll see, I know that you're in my class, and you'll get a complete schedule of how to promote your project. You'll get a full calendar for the whole month, and it'll give you like every day and how many updates to post and how many times to post on social media from the Crush Your Kickstarter class. So, and you can do some work ahead of time as well. So yeah, you can go away. That's fine. Good question. I have a couple more questions. Yes, so I have a question about when you launch a Kickstarter, if you can ask people questions. Yes, so I would recommend, by the way, if you are planning to launch a Kickstarter, to start backing Kickstarters early so that you can see the process, because you'll know things like how surveys work. When you back a Kickstarter, at the end of the project, or a few months after, people can send out a survey, and the survey will say things like, okay, so you backed at the $20 level, which means you get either a magnet or a pendant. Which one would you like, a magnet or a pendant? When you create a project, you can create surveys on Kickstarter for every single reward level separately. So that's how it works on the back end. But then, yeah, just move quickly. You don't have to do things perfectly. It's okay. You asked me about if you're behind on your schedule, if you have to do things perfectly. You don't have to do things perfectly. It's okay. This goes for anybody who is working on my course at course.lasercampaigns.com. Crush Your Kickstarter. It's an awesome course. But if you, but it is extremely thorough. It includes every problem in anything that I've ever done. So if you are finding that if you're the kind of person who likes to be extremely thorough and you think like not every single thing is going to apply to you, because I have tried to include every possible situation, which is great. Okay. Coffee chat that I do every week. I see you, even if you're just going from 1.5 to 1.75 or whatever. So look at this, see where you are numbers wise, and just try to move forward towards the next step before I see you again. Every week you can see me here at coffee.lasercampaigns.com. This is where I'll be. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep doing this after August, but it does seem to be helping folks. So come here if you want to. If you want to get any more information, I will tell you. I have dropped a few pieces of information in this link that I'm putting in the chat here. So if you go to that link and then you click on the description of the video, you will find a few things. You will find a link to the slides for the goals presentation or the rewards presentation. You will find a link to my website. You will find a link to watch all the previous videos in this series, including last week's about community, the week before that about mission statements, which have all been pretty cool, and then also a full presentation about crowdfunding. So yeah. And then, yeah, if you aren't in my course, I recommend it, but obviously you don't have to. I do have a book called Crowdfunding for Musicians, which is applicable to all kinds of stuff that will help and is cheaper. And if you want to get in touch with me about any questions before next week, obviously I love answering questions. I love going through specifics. I love reviewing your page, reviewing your plans, reviewing your rewards. It's a lot easier for me to just talk out loud than it is to send you emails. So go ahead and send me an email to lasermalena-webber@gmail.com. I'm going to go back to songwriting in the middle of this beautiful forest. I apologize for the imperfect audio situation here. And I believe in you. You can make some awesome stuff. Your crowd is waiting. And I can't wait to see it. All right. Bye, everybody.